Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Marvelous Chats. In this video we're going to talk about Miss Marvel Episode 1. Tonight we have Hoffman and Zaberwolf. Guys, welcome, and what do we think of the episode?
Oh my God. Okay, can I just preface this before I get into it? That leading up to this show, I was like the number one hater. Like, I don't think I'm gonna like this thing. It's gonna be like a CW show. It's just meant for teenagers. Like, I'm not the target audience. And I go into watching this thing, low expectations, and maybe I should do this all the time because I came out of it absolutely loving Miss Marvel. Like, I love the character. I love the actress playing the character. Her family's great. I thought the story setup was good. I thought like the music, like everything about this show just completely worked for me. I Miss Marvel like nailed it off the rip for me for episode 1.
Yeah, I gotta agree.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. Like everything that played off in the show was just vibrant, beautiful. Like the colors were there. There were drawings, there were animated pictures, and it really showed how much of like a an exciting world that she wants to be in, and how much she wants to be a hero, just like her, her Miss Marvel. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always thought was like, oh man, I'm gonna hate it because, it's not the same powers, it's not the same type of origin story. But to be completely honest, like this makes up for the fact that you can't really do the origin story the same way because there's no way to like really hit the city with like a gas and making humans. This is a more structured way of doing it using cosmic energy. And from what I remember reading, this isn't like the only thing that we're going to see of Miss Marvel. So after her using the bangle, I think she's actually going to get her stretch powers.
Oh, spoilers here. Look at this leaker over here.
Well, like I think I thought my understanding was like all the power comes from that thing that she's wearing, and she just kind of learns to channel it and use it, and that's where she kind of like she's envisioning what she wants to do, and she just starts doing it, like, because we saw it in episode 1. She did kind of use a stretch power like to kind of catch the girl as she was falling or whatever. And yeah, so I don't know, like for me, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Hoffman. I thought it was going to be something that I was just going to watch for the sake of it, just to talk about it on this channel, and I really enjoyed it. I loved all like the graffiti style and everything, and I think the actress, a lot of real world stuff. I've been watching interviews with her, and she is the real Kamala Khan. Like, she grew up like obsessing over Kamala Khan, dressing up as her in school, and people used to think she was the Flash or Static Shock or all these people, like, and it's just amazing to see that she's actually playing the role and she lived it in real life. You know what I mean? So like that for me always makes me kind of fall in love more with a show and with a character, and when I know all that stuff in the background is actually happening, because I just love the whole movie making process and everything. And when they get people into these roles who are just so passionate about the roles, it works so well for me. I understand what you're saying about the Inhumans as well. Like, I don't really know an awful lot amount about Miss Marvel. I never read any comics of hers or anything like that. The only really kind of interaction I had with her before this was that Avengers game, and like in that game,
Great game.
Yeah, great game.
It's not.
No, well, to be fair, like the original campaign wasn't bad.
Yeah, true.
The launch campaign was pretty good with Kamala Khan and stuff. So like that was my kind of introduction into Miss Marvel, and if I'm not mistaken, the Inhumans are like pretty well established in that world by the time that she comes around. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense for them to launch Inhumans and for Kamala Khan to be the first Inhuman in the MCU. It just doesn't add up, and I don't think we can count Black Bolt in, Doctor Strange. It doesn't really add up. But again, I'm thinking like, why would they put him in the movie and like have the Inhuman King in that film and then launch a show about an Inhuman but change her origin? It's kind of strange, but look, I think it's working. Episode 1 was fantastic. What do you guys think? Like, have you got any predictions for how the show's going to go? Like, any cameos you think might make sense to be dropped, or who would you like to see in there?
So definitely like two people who could obviously be cameos in my mind would be Spider-Man. He's like a young kid. He's in college now, but he does come from that like New York area. She's in Jersey, from like those like small like little towns within New York. You know what I mean? Those weird places. And then obviously Captain Marvel would be a huge cameo for her.
Yeah.
in this show, because one, she shows up in the comic books for Kamala Khan,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of like funny stuff in between the two of them, and it's her idol. Like that would be fantastic. I think that also like the Hulk would be good, but like I think Alex would have more on that. So, but I think the Hulk would be a good one too.
I think the whole
Yeah.
makes sense because I know there was like a couple of celebs tweeting out like supporting the show when it first launched on Wednesday on Disney Plus, and Brie Larson put out his tweet about it, and so did Mark Ruffalo. So I'm thinking like, if we're gonna go off the trends of what we've seen so far, like Ruffalo's been showing up a lot lately in, he's kind of like the Nick Fury of this phase. You know what I mean? So it's like I wouldn't be surprised if he was there. And I kind of like what you're saying about Spider-Man as well, because if you watch, there was an after credit scene in this episode, and the DOD agent from that movie was actually there, and he's like, scoop her up or whatever. Like, so that could be interesting for me. I don't know if they're gonna get Tom Holland. Maybe they do a scene with just a step in, and he doesn't take the mask off or something. I don't understand why they're not doing stuff like that, because I think if Marvel did stuff like that, I think it would be fantastic. You know what I mean? We don't need to see Tom Holland's face for a successful cameo. You get Spider-Man swinging in a scene where she's in New York and just kind of lending a hand. And like, look what Lucasfilm is doing with all of this, like AI for audio. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't know, it's not actually technically James Earl Jones doing Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It's actually AI, like what they're doing for Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. So it's his voice, but it's done through audio software. So do you know what I mean? You could technically do a Tom Holland audio grab and then use a stunt double or something like that. I just don't think you're getting Tom Holland onto that TV show.
Yeah, that would be perfect because it's just like you said, we don't really need to see the character's face. We know what Tom Holland looks like, but we just want to see Spider-Man. And if that gives us the opportunity to do so, then why not? And it's just like you said, some people record off their phone a few voice lines and then ship it out.
Yeah.
So it'd be worthwhile.
Brendan Fraser does that for Doom Patrol, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I know it's
I
kind of
love when
different because
you
he's a
told
robot, but
But with Bruce, I think it works. Especially when you guys say he's like the Nick Fury. I say he's like kind of like he's a sciencey guy. So you want to talk to the science guy about like what's going on, even if it's cosmic energy. And with Captain Marvel, I say 100% for sure we're gonna see Captain Marvel show up.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, so how's it going? And maybe like she gets picked up. Like maybe that's an ending for the show as well. Like come with me kind of situation.
It's very well known that she's going to be in the Marvel's movie, so you know what I mean. Yeah, that would line up perfectly. And Brie Larson has done TV before. You know what I mean. She was you would almost call her a regular on, I think, seasons 4 and seasons 5 of Community. You know what I mean. Like she was in half the 5th season of Community, so like she's not opposed to doing TV. So very possible. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna comment real quick though. I think Tom Holland is like the most gettable MCU star for them. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Like Tom seems down to do anything. He's like, what? Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
I just have never seen him on TV before. He is a movie star, So that's why I don't know if it will be him. I think Brie does make sense because I've seen her on TV. And Bruce is going to be in She-Hulk. He's popping up here and there in the MCU. Wong could show up. You know what I mean? Why not? He's everywhere at the moment as well. So yeah, like I think it's cool. Like, and imagine we got some, like, how funny would it be if, like, we all kind of know the Disney Plus shows have been watchable, but they haven't been like memorable. They haven't been amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's kind of one and done with a lot of them. But imagine this show, which again, I agree fully with what you were saying, Hoffman. It's the lowest expected show out of the bunch for me. But after episode 1, it's been such a strong start. Imagine this show turns into a show that, like, is going to have all the crossovers and, like, Avengers showed up and everything like that. How wild would that be?
It would be crazy. Like this would be the best like Disney Plus crossover show they could have. Like she's based around New York City. Everyone's just coming in and out of there. Hawkeye's around there. Kate Bishop's around there.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like this is honestly for me the best start to an MCU show. I actually like it better than Moon Knight episode 1, and I think the reason is because they're not like teasing you with anything. It's just it is what it is. I think in Moon Knight and all the Disney Plus shows, they kind of suffer from this idea of like they're hyping up what's coming in the show or what's coming after the show. And so far, even in episode 1 of Moon Knight, when he was like blacking out and stuff, they're like teasing you with like something that you don't know. And this one is just like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like this is the show, this is the girl, this is how she gets her powers. Here's the setup, and they delivered on it. And I thought, seeing a Pakistani, American Pakistani family on TV really kind of for the first time in my mind, like showing what the inside of their home looks like was fucking awesome, dude. Like seeing how strict the mom is, seeing how fun the dad was. Like I loved her family, man.
I hated her family so much. I know that's the point. I know you're supposed to hate them, but I hate that parenting style. Like the mother is just like suppressing everything that's unique and wonderful about her daughter because it just doesn't line up with what she believes in or what she likes, And that drives, as a parent myself, like that drives me insane. Like I am all about just, letting kids be creative and doing what they love, and it's insane to me to think that someone would like just suppress someone's love and interest so much when it's not hurting anybody. She wants to go to a con, for Christ's sake. Do you know what I mean? She's not looking to go out to a nightclub. You know what I mean? I don't understand what the big pushback on that was.
It has to do with the culture of the Pakistani culture. When you see her in her outfits, they all have somewhat similar or matching outfits because that's just how their culture is. And if you notice that when we actually see the full costume of Miss Marvel come up in whichever episode, you're going to see that the costume design and style is based upon her culture as well, which very reminiscent of like, it doesn't matter how much she feels like she has to rebel. It's more so like she still understands that she's part of this culture and she wants to celebrate it in a sense. And that's what I really like about the family. I don't hate them per se, but I think that it was a little harsh for them to, do these big restrictions. But again, it's all has to do with the culture. It's what the mother wants. The mother wants her to be just like the rest of their culture. And I thought that scene between like her and the Hulk and big Hulk suit and everything, that was great. And it was also heartfelt. It was one of those moments where like you looked at the guy's eyes and he looked like he was ready to tear up and he's like, you can't go. And I was ready to tear up. I'm like, man, I feel for that.
Give that man an Emmy. He had me. I also think it's gonna be interesting how they tie that in to like holding her back and trying to like restrict what she's doing and her ambitions and stuff like that is like for me is going to come down to like her grandma and why that bangle is in the family and what the mother knows about it because she like took it away from her very quickly. And then like her mom trying to protect her in her mind, protect her, right? Like quote, air quotes, protect her from this idea of being a superhero when the mom just wants a normal life for her. I think that's totally going to be a story point. I want to see where they go with that. And I think them setting up this kind of conflict between the mom and the daughter so early is just going to be such a good payoff later in the show.
Yeah, I just don't know how, with such strict parents like that, how can you be a superhero? Like, you know what I mean? She won't have any time to sneak out of the house. Like, she's expected to be home for dinner at 5:30 and, in bed for 9 o'clock at night. Like, she's like a 16-year-old girl. Imagine sending a 16-year-old girl to bed at 9 o'clock at night. That's insane to me. Mm-hmm. It's insane. I have an 8-year-old and he's awake at 9 o'clock,
Yeah, but we see all that stuff with Spider-Man as well. Like Aunt May and Uncle Ben were like, where the hell have you been? Like, where have you been going?
Yeah.
And even after like Ben passes away, like even Aunt May is like, I need you here. Like you need to be, helping to take care of the house and be Peter Parker. And I don't know where you go all these nights. And, I wonder if you're ever going to come home. And it's very real. It's a very parenting kind of situation. So I can solely see, the side of the parents, but I agree, Finto, like 9 o'clock is really early.
For a teenager, like, like, I don't care what your cultural background is, you're going to rebel against 9 o'clock in the evening being expected to be in bed. Like, I don't care what you're brought up as, you know what I mean? That's just not right for a teenager. What is she meant to be, like 16 in the show, I think?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah. So like, come on, bro, 16-year-old, come on.
And now that I'm in my 30s, I'll be at an event and I'm like 8:30. I'm like, 8:30, top time, everyone. See you later. 9 o'clock bedtime. Let's get out.
Well, speaking of events, what did you guys think of AvengerCon?
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Like, it looked cool, but like, I've never been to a convention that looked like that in my life. Like, there was not enough corporate merchandise stands and mystery boxes trying to be sold.
Yeah, yeah, I've been to a few cons in my day, like, and it's definitely more just that kind of marketplace for selling stuff, like, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was.
Imagine like if there was an Avenger there or something. Like, I'm actually kind of thinking that now. Like, you know, I think we're gonna get some crazy cameos in this show that like are just gonna blow us out of the water.
Yeah. Ant-Man seems like a good cameo that could take place, right? Because of his podcast in the show.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's incredible, dude.
And the fact that she's doing fanfic about them.
Yeah. Yeah, Sloth Baby Productions. I'm just gonna let you know right now, her YouTube would be massive with that type of quality.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. I know. I see like two views on her videos and stuff. I'm like, come on, bro.
Help her out, YouTube. Pump her in the algorithm.
Yeah,
come on,
get her
man.
out there. Get her out there.
You know, it'd also be great marketing for the show itself if they actually created that channel.
Yeah,
and put those videos on for us to see.
I don't know how they don't have that already.
I would be surprised. Yeah, I would not be surprised if you did a search for that now and realized that actually was a thing. Because like, you know the way Moon Knight are doing the stuff with the QR codes and everything and linking it to websites and all this stuff. Like it seems like shows are trying to get a lot more like interactive, which is great.
Yeah,
definitely. Like, you know, technology's at our fingertips nowadays. Like, you know, why wouldn't you be doing stuff like that when you can kind of give that extra experience added to the show, you know?
Also interesting, no villain yet. No hint of a villain in this show.
Yeah, and like I think, like, is there going to be a villain? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what she's going to get up to. Like, again, I don't know any of Miss Marvel's villains, but I feel like, and this is very strange that you bring that up, but like, I didn't even think about that until you just said it. Do you know what I mean? And that's how good the first episode was, because it just grabbed us into her world, and I didn't even think about that. Jesus, like, that's crazy. And like, I could see the show going 6 episodes without a villain. Just kind of her, you know, getting the training wheels on, figuring out what she needs to do, and then, you know, at the end, it's just her meeting up with Carol Danvers and off she goes. You know, that would be enough, I think. You know, I don't think you need a big villain.
There's definitely like not a big. I don't think you need a big villain either. But she definitely has villains that are like funny and like weird, that aren't like super serious villains that would be perfect for her, because like, and their show for what it is. Her most notable one would be Edison, who's like,
yes,
he's got like,
I'm so glad you pulled.
He's got like, I think it's like a pigeon head or something. It's like a hawk or a pigeon head, and he's just a person with the pigeon head. He's like got the brain of like Thomas Edison or something. Like, it's this weird I remember I picked up on it like 2 years ago from YouTube video. That's like all I know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think they had a reference to that in the show. Like, if you remember, they were on the rooftops. They had a sign that said Edison and the lightning bolt, which is reminiscent of Miss Marvel's design.
There we go.
Clip it, guys. I think we cracked the case.
Think it's gonna be the friend? Ooh. Sorry.
Wouldn't surprise me, dude, at all.
Yeah.
I know there was like, you know, the girl that she saves. I can't think of her name right now. She's like the bully, like the cool girl in the school. I think there's like a later clip that was in one of the trailers is showing her with like the devil horns and stuff like that. I'm just gonna call it now Mephisto.
Yes. Yes.
You can't go without mentioning Mephisto.
No.
Way to bring it back. Full circle.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm looking forward. Go ahead.
Another villain that she tends to fight once in a while, because she's part of the Young Avengers, is King the Conqueror. So big reference there. We could probably see that pop up here and there.
That'd be wild.
Ant-Man, King the Conqueror, Mephisto. It's all making sense.
Yeah. Like, again, like I don't have any like kind of expectation of the show kind of being that connected to the rest of the MCU, but Jesus, imagine it was. Like, imagine that, like, you know, the next appearance of Kang is in this show. Like, it'd be crazy. It really would. It'd be crazy. And like, it'd be just so out of the blue, and I think it would just absolutely shock MCU fans. Like, I think that'd start making the rounds on all the social medias and everything like that. And I think a lot of people who probably aren't watching the show because they're like, yeah, it's a teen thing, it's not for me, they're going to be clawed straight in and have to do a quick catch up to like watch the first 2 or 3 episodes just to get caught up, because I do have a feeling that it could become very relevant.
Yeah, I would love him to just be like a teacher, you know,
Yeah,
like his disguise is just like a school teacher, and like no one has any idea he's just there.
yeah. Jesus, I think you mentioned it on one of our previous podcasts about Kang maybe potentially like kind of like just disguising himself and living within the timeline or something like that, and like, and I'm like, that would just be such a great idea for him to just pop into like a show somewhere and just be in the background or whatever, just taking notes, watching everything, watching the events happen and stuff. Like, I think that would be just crazy.
Sure, that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, just like,
So
go ahead.
I know that there was a brief moment when she put on the mangle that she like fell into a different world full of like shadow looking people and then popped right back up. And she asked the guy like, "Did you see that?
Yeah, it's like
What do
she.
you guys think that is?"
I saw some articles about it. People saying thinking that she may have like seen the multiverse or something like that. Like, I don't really know. I didn't think about it too much, to be honest. And I only watched the episode once, so I kind of would maybe like to go back and watch that scene again just to kind of take it in a bit more. But when I was watching it, I kind of just thought, it's this bracelet has cosmic energy or something, and like she's falling in like or viewing the cosmos or something like that. Like.
Yeah, that's kind of where I took it. I didn't even think anything deeper than that. I just like, oh, she saw the cosmos
Yeah.
and she's back.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, I'm really looking forward to episode 2. It's going to be on
Yes.
this Wednesday, and we'll be talking about it soon. So, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment below, let us know what you think of episode 1, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Hey there, everyone.